Hey guys, it's Becky. I've literally just filmed part 1 of this video. I don't know, I think I'm going to call it like studying abroad in France questions. So I've just filmed that, and this is the second part because it was getting ridiculously long, so I didn't think anyone would want to watch the whole thing in one shebang. So I'm just going to carry on from where I left off. I'll quickly just say I'm in Grenoble in France, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm still here at the moment. I'm still on my year abroad. I have about 4 weeks left, which is just insane. So I'm just talking about the time so far. Obviously the main bulk of it's done now, so that's what I'm discussing. So the next question that I have on my list of questions that I pulled from various different people's YouTube videos and blogs, etc. So I'm in a really weird mood today. Is what was the process of taking classes like? So I've kind of finished taking classes now, and it's more about exams and assignments, etc. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't like the way French university works. I much prefer the way it works in England, and I don't think it's because that's just what I'm used to. I generally, oh God, I've just made a mistake I absolutely hate. I genuinely think that the system in England is so much better, and I don't know whether that's because obviously we pay for university in England, and here it's basically free, apart from a few like admin costs and stuff like that. I don't know if that's why, or whether we just have a better system in place, but here it feels like school. I feel like I've gone back to sixth form, because obviously you're not in all day every day like you are in school, but you are. When you're in the class, it just feels so much more like school. It feels very spoon-fed. It feels very patronising at times. I mean, when I first started, obviously everything was in French, so I was absolutely terrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to understand what they're saying. How do I ask a question? That kind of thing. But now I've got used to it, I just feel like it's so patronising, and it's not because I'm an Erasmus student that they patronise me in particular. It's just how they teach. It's very like school, where I don't know, I feel like it's just really spoon-fed, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm more a fan of like independent work, the way it works in Southampton, where obviously we have lectures and seminars, but it's very like your thoughts. They want to hear your thoughts. They want to hear how you would analyse this. They want to hear. In our language classes, obviously we put our hand up and we give answers in the language that that seminar is in. It's just, I really prefer the way it is in Southampton. I wouldn't say it's bad. I enjoy the classes here. I'll tell you what classes I've taken. So as I'm writing a dissertation this year, which I'm actually submitting tonight, which is terrifying, but anyway, we only had to take 15 credits per semester, and it's like the European credit system. So first semester I took 4, and this semester I've taken 4 courses. So first semester I did a Erasmus specific module, which was translation from French to English and English to French within the same module. Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm drinking tea, so I'm just gonna have a sip. Yeah, so I did French to English, English to French translation, which was really helpful, really interesting. I want to be a translator, so I really enjoyed that. It was weird doing it from English to French, because obviously in the real world you would never ever do that. You always translate into your mother tongue, your native language. But it was interesting to do it both ways. So that was one module. I also then did a Chinese translation module. I wanted to challenge myself, so I did a Chinese to French translation module, which was terrifying at first because none of it was in English, but the teacher was lovely. There was only 7 or 8 of us in that class, so it was I really enjoyed that class. That one I would definitely recommend to anyone that is coming to Grenoble and speaks French and Chinese. There was a few Chinese people in my class, there was a few French people, and then there was little old me. But the teacher was lovely. He didn't slow anything down for me, but he did make sure that I was understanding everything. Same with everyone else. He was just a very good teacher, very enthusiastic. And then this semester I've done the opposite, so I've done French to Chinese translation, and that has been so hard. It's one thing to do Chinese to French, because obviously I've been studying French since I was like 11, so to me it's okay to translate back into French, but trying to put French into Chinese, and I've only been studying Chinese since I was 18 and I started university, is so hard. But the teacher, again, really nice and really understanding, really helpful. So I really have enjoyed those Chinese modules. I also did last semester a German translation module, which was good, but the teacher for the, I can't remember now which way around it was, one of the teachers, because you do translation again both ways, German to French, French to German, and that was so challenging for me. I think because, this is going to sound really stupid, but I think because with Chinese, obviously, the Chinese is symbols and French is obviously the normal alphabet for us, so I can separate those in my brain. But with French to German and German to French, obviously the languages are nothing like each other, but it's so hard to separate them in your brain. I could always think of the word in French and not in German. I could think of it in English and German but not in French, and it just, my brain got so muddled with that module. And one of the teachers was not very good, let's just say. I don't want to be horrible, but he was just very, he just sort of sat there while we tried to translate this text, and obviously if we asked for help he would help, but it just wasn't a very guided module. So I felt like I didn't really learn too much from that module because we didn't really get much guidance in terms of the translation. He sort of just left us to it, gave us a correction afterwards, and was just like, this is the answer, and didn't hear any of our suggestions or anything. So that one was not too fab. And then the other thing I did last semester, I originally applied for a phonetics module, if I remember correctly, but they didn't run it, so I had to do Latin. I went to a normal school, not a normal school, all schools are normal. I went to my local secondary school, which was just a comprehensive secondary school. We did not do Latin. I've never done Latin in my life, and I had to sit in this class and do Latin and learn about the history of Latin, which was interesting, but then also translate from French to Latin and Latin to French. And we had all the tables in the exam, so it wasn't too bad, but I was like, oh my god, I did not sign up for this. I was kind of forced into taking that module because that was all that was left. And that's the other thing I don't like about the system here, is that at home we sign up for all our modules online before the university year even starts. I've just applied for my modules online for next year, for my 4th year of university, and I love that because you know that you have those modules, and if you can't do those modules, they'll contact you over the summer and say, look, we can't fit that into a timetable, you need to change modules, and it's all fine. But this, I found out the day before I was supposed to be starting my classes that this class was not running, and I had to apply for another one, and all that was left was Latin. So I think that's so ridiculous, and it's all done on paper, nothing's done online, and I think, come on France, we're in the 21st century, and you don't even have your module sign up online. Like, to me, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So that's the other thing I really don't like about here. Everything's very old-fashioned in terms of, like, everything has to be done in person, on paper. What is that about France? Come on. And I'll just quickly say what modules I did this semester, but I've already spoke so much about this already. I did, obviously, the opposite way round of Chinese. I did a German grammar module, which I really enjoyed because I am a grammar nerd, and I did a French speaking class, which I'm still having classes for. I've got one today, which was good, Erasmus specific again, so really good just to be able to speak in French, and a phonetics module, which I'm not even going to talk about because I love linguistics, but this module went straight over my head, no idea what was going on. Wasn't because I didn't understand the French, it was just because I didn't understand the module, and we just won't talk about that one. So yeah, that's my experience with French university. And so the next question is, what has been the biggest challenge so far? So I've got a few things I want to talk about in terms of this. Do you know what? I think I'm going to have to make this video a 3-parter because I'm talking so much, and I want to discuss all this because I think it's really interesting for people who are considering studying abroad, specifically in France, to hear about my whole experience. So we will see. Anyway, what's been the biggest challenge so far? So we'll talk about one thing first. I can't get my head around the fact that French people love to protest, they love to go on strike. I understand if you're working for the government or you're working for a government organisation and you don't agree with wages being changed, or, I don't know, some terms and conditions of your contract being changed, fine, go on strike. But there's been a protest at this university for weeks now, which is still going on, affecting all the classrooms that we can have our classes in. They've blocked a building. The students here have blocked a building. You can't get into it. They've blocked it with bins. They've blocked it with anything they could find on the street. And it's still going on because, I don't know, it's still going on. Because the reason they're protesting is because, right, let me try and get this right. I tried to keep up with French politics and like things like that. But as far as I know, and I've spoken to a French friend about this, they are protesting because they're thinking of changing the system of university entry to having to get specific grades to get into a specific university. Now, obviously, that's how it works in the UK, and to me, it seems insane that that is not how it works in every country. But here, if you've passed your baccalaureate, which is the French equivalent of A-levels, if you've passed it, you can get into any uni. You don't even have to have subject-specific, like, you don't have to have qualifications in a subject to do that subject. So if you want to do biochemistry, but you've got your baccalaureate in literature and art and, I don't know, theatre, you can still apply to go and do biochemistry at any university in France and be accepted. You might fail your first year and have to go and do another course, but you can go and do it. That seems insane to me. But they're thinking of changing the system so that you have to have specific grades. And that's what they're protesting about. Now, okay, fine, if you don't agree with that, protest. But you're already at university. You're already in. So why are you protesting? I don't understand. I really don't. And it's been going on for weeks and it's been affecting our classes and I just don't get it. I really don't. But yeah, so that's been a challenge for me to get my head around all of the protests and strikes that go on all the time. There hasn't been many tram strikes, which has been great, but there has been a few, usually throughout the night. And that's another thing I don't understand, is that they plan their strikes. They inform people of when they're striking so that you can, you know, arrange your life around it, which is helpful because if we want to go on a night out and there's no tram, we have to decide, okay, we're going to walk into town, get a taxi back. But like, very weird. I don't know. And the other challenge I would say was the first few weeks here, getting used to a whole new country and a culture, speaking a different language every single day, trying to make friends. Making friends with French people has been really, really hard for me, and it's nothing to do with the fact that they're French. It's just the fact that I came in where everyone is either, my classes are either second or third year classes, so everyone knows each other really, really well. Everyone's got their little group of friends. No one wants to be friends with the weird exchange student girl, you know? And a few people have been lovely. I've spoken to a few of the girls in my classes. They've been really, really nice. I'm saying girls because languages here is very, very heavy girl. It is at home as well, but here there's no boys. Like at home, I'd say like, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but a fifth to a quarter of our course is boys. But here, there might be one boy in the class. There's usually 0 boys in the class. So, yeah, a couple of the girls here have been so, so lovely. They keep me informed of what's going on with the classes because they tend to leave Erasmus students off the email list. Why? But it's been so hard to actually make French friends because they all just know each other already. You have to be really persistent, I think, if you want to be friends with them. You've got to annoy them into being your friend, I would say. But I have made a few friends here, really nice girls, and hopefully I'll stay in contact with a couple of them in case I ever come back and need someone to stay with. Where did you travel to while abroad, and what was your favourite place? Now, actually, I haven't travelled as much as I had envisaged. Yeah. Because living in England, you're really close to the UK, the EU anyway, to Europe anyway. I've been to Italy a few times in my life already. I've been to Germany a few times. I've been to France a few times. I've been really lucky. So I don't feel the need, like, where people here are from Australia, America, Canada, while they're in Europe, they might as well do the whole of Europe. I understand that. That's a great way to do it. Because they can't just fly over whenever they want. whereas for us we can get cheap flights. Now I don't know if Brexit is going to change that. I'm not going to talk about Brexit because I'm going to get angry, but it is easy for us to travel to Europe, so that's bad. It's kind of maybe a bit complacent, I think, but we have travelled a bit. In October I went to Oktoberfest in Munich, which was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I love Germany. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a little bit obsessed with Germany. I just think it's an amazing country. The people are lovely. I love the language. The food, not so much, but I'll let them off. Oktoberfest was just so much fun. I didn't really know anyone that well by that point because obviously I only got here September and this was in October, but I went with Neve, and we shared a tent with another girl called Emma, and we went, and loads of the other Irish lot that are here went, and it was just such a fun weekend. A lot of beer was consumed, big kegs. Well, no, they're not called kegs. Oh God, I should know the German word for that. Stein. They're called a Stein, I hope. Yeah, they're called a Stein. I'm just like holding one right now in my brain. And they're massive. They're like this big. They're so heavy. I think it's like a litre of beer in there. And the women that worked at the festival, let's call it a festival, Oktoberfest, were carrying 10, I'm not joking, 10 of these in their arms to everyone that was like paying for them. And it was just so impressive. They were carrying like platters of like bratwurst. Like it was an insane environment. Everyone was up on the tables like clapping and singing. There was this German song that kept playing over and over the whole time, which was kind of annoying, but it was such a nice environment to be in. Everyone was friends that night. We were dancing on the tables, everyone was wearing the outfits, and it was just so much fun. I actually think that's my favourite place I've visited since being here, which is bad because it's not even in France, but it's the truth. And I've also travelled to Marseille. Me and Neve and Mel went to Marseille a few weeks ago now for the weekend, which was beautiful. I would definitely recommend Marseille to anyone going on holiday or for a weekend away. Beautiful, right down in the south. It's a harbour town, but we also went to the Calanques, which are like these big bay, I guess you'd call them bays, right on the coast. So beautiful. Very windy, but so sunny. The weather was so good. This was like in April as well, and the weather was just amazing. End of March, start of April. Just such a beautiful place, so much to do and see, so much touristy things to do. We went on a night out and it was so much fun. Definitely recommend Marseille. And we've also been to Lyon. We went to Lyon right at the start as well, I think September time, for the weekend, and that's where I made like most of my friends, which was really lovely. Lyon's a lovely city as well. And we climbed up to the basilisk. I've just said it because Mel always calls it a basilisk. The basilica. And that was beautiful. We also did that in Marseille. I think every big city in France has a big cathedral or basilica on the top of a hill, it seems to be, and you can see like right out over the whole city, and that's always really fun and really nice to do. And also we went to Annecy. I went to Annecy with my mum when she came to visit. It was absolutely freezing. This was in February, and I'm not joking, I think it was like 0, -1 degrees. We were wearing coats, hats, scarves, the whole lot, and we were still absolutely freezing. But it's a beautiful place. I'd love to go back again before I go home in the summer weather, so we can go out on like a little pedalo, or I don't know, just sit by the lake, because it's Lake Annecy. That's also really beautiful, and all the buildings are really old and really pretty in all different like pastel colours. It's just a really nice place. And I think that's it. That's bad. I don't think I've been anywhere else. But we are planning to I want to go back to Annecy. There's a castle place here called Vizille that we want to visit. We are also planning to go to Geneva for maybe one night because it's so expensive, but it's 2.5 hours on the bus, so we might as well do that while we're here. And we're also thinking of maybe doing Disneyland, because that's how cool we are. Disneyland? Is it called Disneyland? or is it Disney World? No, Disneyland in Paris. We're thinking of maybe trying to squeeze that in somewhere as well. Okay, actually I will do this all in this video because there's only a few left now. So, what products from your home country do you miss the most? Chocolate. Defo chocolate. Actually no, there's a few. So I miss chocolate because they don't have Cadbury's chocolate here, which is just an absolute disgrace. French people, you are missing out. But my mum always stocks me up when I go home, and last semester she was sending me boxes, like care packages with like chocolate and cake. I actually have my little Mr. Kipling Angel Slice. I have one left that I brought back from home with me. They are my absolute favourite cakes in the whole wide world. Chocolate cake and tea, but I bring my tea bags out with me so that I can have my cup of tea. And I also really miss decent veggie food. I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 2 years now, and France is a bit behind on the whole vegetarian thing. Obviously their food is very meat based, meat and fish, mainly meat, a lot of cheese, but a lot of their cheese isn't vegetarian. They use animal rennet, so I'm a bit limited in terms of that when I go out for food. The UK is so much better at providing food for vegetarians, and in the supermarket here they do have a little vegetarian section, which has quite a lot of choice, but it just doesn't taste that good. In the UK we have corn, but even supermarket own brand veggie stuff like Sainsbury's own brand, Tesco do amazing veggie stuff, Waitrose, they all just have such a nice veggie range. But here, it's like soya steaks, soya, I don't even know, like soya fake chicken things. And yeah, you could say to me like, well, you're a vegetarian, why do you want to eat fake meat? But it's, you know, I'm not going to talk about being a vegetarian. I am a vegetarian and I want fake meat sometimes. I don't like fake steaks or like fake bacon, that's just what, but I really enjoy like fake like chicken things, or, you know, just that sort of thing. And here you cannot get decent stuff. But I found their falafel balls are really nice, and also a few like cheesy fake soya things they do that are edible, so I get by. But I miss decent veggie frozen food, and I don't have a freezer, so I can't have frozen food anyway. And okay, a few more. Tell us about a tourist attraction that you like in the city that you're in. So Grenoble is very good if you're into skiing. I am not into skiing. I am not particularly sporty in general. I tried skiing once, absolute disaster. I could do another video talking about that because it was just an absolute disaster of a day, and I was scarred for like a week afterwards. But yeah, so if you're not into skiing, Grenoble has not got a lot to offer in terms of touristy attractions, but there's lots of museums, which me and my mum discovered when she was here. We did all the museums in Grenoble apart from like 2, I think, mainly just to get out of the cold weather, but there are some really nice ones here. So if you're into museums, Grenoble is a good city to visit. It's also pretty. There's lots of parks, there's lots of greenery, there's all the mountains around. You can go up into the mountains, do hikes and stuff like that. But for me, the thing I love the most is the Bastille, which is just a big old hill with the Bastille on top, which is a very ugly building, I'm not going to lie. The Bastille itself is not attractive, but you can walk up to it and it really doesn't take long at all. We did it a few weeks ago when the weather started getting nice, and it only took like 45 minutes to walk up there, and we were going pretty slow, so if you're into like hiking and stuff, you could hike up that in like 25 minutes, I would say. And then at the top you just have such a nice view over the whole city, and there's places at the top you can sit with a little picnic, there's a little shop, there's a restaurant. That's what I really like. It's just nice to go up there sometimes, and I want to walk up there again before I go back and just have one last look over Grenoble before I leave. How do people dress in your host country? I have found, so people obviously talk about Paris as like the fashion capital of the world, and people in Paris I would say are very fashionable, but in terms of the rest of the country, I have not seen much fashion going on. I'm not particularly a fashionable person, but I do have my own style, I would say. And here, I don't want to be horrible, but everyone's very plain. No one really wears like colourful prints, or I don't know. There are a few people here, obviously, like some people are very stylish. I see some girls out and I'm like, wow, she looks so cool. But in general, everyone's very plain here. Jeans and a t-shirt and trainers, even on a night out. And I kind of miss it a bit at home, that I feel like everyone has their own style a bit more. Everyone's a bit more confident to do their makeup the way they want to wear what they want to have their hair a different colour. But here it's very plain. I don't know, there's nothing wrong with that, but I've just found there's not much of a, what would you say, like a fashion scene in Grenoble. I don't know, maybe it's just not a fashionable city, but yeah, that's just what I found. And I miss dressing up on nights out. We dressed up when we went out at the weekend because we were like, you know what, we're just going to dress up. But most people will be very dressed down on a night out, which sometimes is really nice. You don't have to make much effort. But I miss like going to a proper club at home and everyone being like dressed up to the max. And yeah, I don't know, I miss that sometimes. And the last two questions, which will probably be quite quick. What advice would you give someone who wants to live in the country that you're in, so in France? I don't know, it's hard. Advice. If you're going to come and live here, for definite, I would say do a trial run, because it's a lot more different than you think it's going to be. I thought France would be very similar to the UK, but I just find it's hard to describe what I mean, but it's a different culture, it's a different way of life, it's a different... People are different with each other. It's not like the UK at all, I would say. Honestly, it's so much more different to what I thought. The food is different, the nights out are different, the socialising is different. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just very different. So if you're going to come and live here for definite, I would definitely say come and live here for a couple of months first in the city you're thinking of moving to, just so you get a feel for it, because I don't think it's for everyone. I've had a great time here. I've had my ups and downs. I've had times I've wanted to just pack everything up and go home, but I've had other times I've really, really enjoyed myself, made some amazing friends, done some amazing things, really improved my French, and overall it's just been a great experience. But I wouldn't want to live here. I don't want to live in France. Nothing against the country, nothing against the people, but it just doesn't suit me, and I think a lot of British people would feel the same way. So yeah, do a trial run. That would be my advice. And so the last question is, how would you sum up your experience in one word? And that would be weird. So many weird experiences while I've been here. Just so many things in this country that make no sense to me. And again, not in a negative way, it's just different. And I would just say weird. So anyway, that was my study abroad questions tag thing video, and hopefully it was interesting, hopefully it was informative if you're thinking of studying in France. I don't want to put anyone off. I've had a great time and I've really improved my French, and it's made me much more confident. I've made so many good friends from all different countries, and I feel like we're going to be friends for life. Oh my god, my stomach, I need to have some lunch. And studying abroad in a cheesy way, in the most generic way, does really make you see the world differently. It makes you see yourself differently. Feel like I'm much more confident in terms of talking to people in French now, and yeah, it is a great experience. And I wouldn't say don't do it. I would say do it, go for it. If you want to study in France, do it, but make sure you give it a go. Like, I didn't know. Okay, if you're going to study abroad in France, do it. But if you're going to live in France, do a trial run, because it is more different than you think it's going to be. That's been my experience anyway. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. I've got a few weeks left in France, so I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to travel. I'm going to speak as much French as I can before I go back. And yeah, so if anyone wants me to do another video discussing anything else in particular about studying abroad or France or anything in that sort of area, please let me know and give this video a like and maybe subscribe and maybe tell your friends about it. And I will see you again very soon.